Selamat datang ke ASM Podcast yang dibawakan khas oleh Akademi Sains Malaysia. Siri podcast ini merupakan platform perkongsian topik-topik berkaitan sains, teknologi, inovasi dan ekonomi STIE secara santai dan mudah difahami. Setiap episod akan menampilkan jaringan pakar ASM yang akan berkongsi pengalaman dan pendapat mereka tentang STIE seiring dengan etos ASM. Budayakan sains, raikan teknologi, cetuskan inovasi.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Welcome to the YSN ASN Inspiration Series. I am Fatimah Abdul Razak, the Chair of Science at Media, YSN ASM. Today we have my boss actually, co-chairperson, Professor IR Dr. Denny Kok Sam Eng. He is the Vice Chairperson of YSN ASM. Welcome, Denny.
Thank you, Fatimah, for the invitations.
Yeah. And can you introduce yourself?
Right. Good day, everyone. I'm Denny. I'm the Dean of School of Engineering and Technology in Sunway University. I'm a chemical engineer by training, currently serving as the Young Scientist Network Vice Chair. I'm also the chair for academic science, sustainable palm oil research, Prof in short. Also serving in a lot of other organizations like voluntarily in IChemE, which is one of the international chemical engineering professional society, and others as well.
Yeah, he's already a professor, so there's many things that he's involved in. But how did you get involved in science to begin with?
All right, I would say that will trace back into when my high school times. So when I first, I would say, when you finish your PMR, that time PMR.
We got. I got.
PMR,
yeah, I took also.
Yes, we are the PMR time, the SPM.
Jess also mentioned PMR just now. Yeah.
So we are a bit PMR now, no longer PMR. So after you finish your PMR, they will normally they will divide in ourselves into science stream and art streams, where I can start because normally they say, okay, the students who have a bit of interest in science, you do well in science in your SPMR, then they will put in the science stream. So I managed to go into the science stream. I do a triple science, which is physics, chemistry, and biology. That's where I really learn about sciences, right? So you do the basic science, you learn about what is a science, and eventually I have a very good teachers, I would say, particularly my chemistry teachers, Mr. Koo, so he actually taught us very well. I graduated from Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan St. Paul Seremban.
Seremban.
Yeah, so it's a very good school, I would say. I was trained and then I was get exposed to sciences, and that's where I get to be interested in STEMs, particularly science and maths. Particularly I like maths, I like science.
Good. So I'm a mathematician. I approve this.
That's where I eventually ventured into engineering.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So from school, you decided on your own to take science stream rather than art stream.
I personally not so good in history. So I think science will be a good choice for myself. So
because of your strength, you feel. Same.
I can sense from my PMR, although I got A's in my history as well, but I know I'm not as good as that, right? So comparing to sciences, I enjoyed science. And I also have always like to ask questions about why, because I try to understand why that happened. So once you start asking a lot of questions of why, that will bring you to trying to find the answers. And most of the time, when you ask a lot of questions why, then the science will give you the answers. And therefore, I get myself a bit of excitement and interest in STEMs.
I see. So you were a scientist from a very young age, researcher.
I would say
questions.
I'm a person who I like asking questions. Probably a very noisy student in the class. Asking a lot of questions. The teachers has to entertain me most of the time.
Yeah.
Because personally, even when I come to university times, that I noted that it will save me a lot of time asking questions in the class versus that I need to still study. Okay, I'm probably a lazy student back then. So I lazy to study on my own and then trying to figure out why, but I just ask questions. So in the class, I ask a lot of questions. and become a bit noisy in the class. I think that make me continuations on my work, asking question of why it happens. Is there any reason? Is there any proof that it works this way? So that made me to who I am today, become a scientist.
Ask a lot of questions. It would help you become lazier. No. It will help you in your life. Sometimes lazy people, they find better ways to do things. Yes.
It's a shortcut to, a lot of things that you can learn from the teachers directly. And you can, for example, just a knowledge that you gain, right? If you go to the class, you ask questions, you probably get the answer quite immediately.
Yeah.
If you need to say, okay, I take down the notes and then I go home and finding books, and probably it will take you 2-3 hours to do that, right? So now with this kind of approach, I think the engagement is better. I think the teachers also find it more interesting to talk to students. And I find it more interesting, not so sleepy in the class.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the teacher also probably appreciate more.
Correct. So, and for example, my colleague or my classmate used to write a lot of notes. Busy teachers talking, they're busy writing notes. I'm probably the one who just sitting there listening, processing the data or information myself and digesting.
You don't take notes in class?
No, I'm not a person who are very hardworking taking notes. I'm actually preferred to spend more time listening.
I see.
Because I also personally know myself. If I would start writing notes, I will get distracted.
I see.
I won't able to pay full attention to whatever lectures or classes. So I rather choose to sit there and listen, asking questions, getting my concept strong, fundamentally correct. Then if I need notes, I can always get from my friends, because they are busy writing notes, right? So I can say, can I borrow the notes and then just read?
Sometimes teacher also provide notes, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So I like to write notes just because I think the writing makes it clearer for me. So I think from what you said, it highlight that many different people have many different style of teaching and learning. Cikgu jangan marah kalau nampak macam student tu tak ambil nota. Maybe he's digesting like Prof Denny here in his head. So there are many different styles of learning. Okay. Actually, the first time I met you, I think was at colloquium. And then you were giving advice.
Do I?
Yeah. You were giving advice to like younger YSNers maybe, and then I could see you were so passionate about YSN, and then why this dedication?
Interesting questions. As probably Fatima know, I has been involved myself in YSN more than 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm probably the most senior person in the YSN, which supposed to be retired last year. Then later they changed increase the age limit and I get renewed. Therefore, I'm still in YSN. But I'm glad to be part of the YSN because this is a place and this is a platform or the network that allowed me to learn continuously. Meeting different people from different backgrounds. That give me a lot of opportunity to do things that I will not able to do it if I'm just being part of the academic in my institutions or I'm just focusing on my research area. You can, because this platform allowed me to know people from biologists, psychologists, mathematicians, and so on and so forth. So diversified. You can see area of the researchers or scientists, they have a different way of operations. They have different way of thinking, they have different ways of handling things, management things, and so on and so forth. That gives me a good opportunity to learn. Besides, YSN also playing when back then we actually started as a platform that want to represent the young scientist voice. We want to be present in various places, particularly in the academic sciences Malaysia working group. So we participate in those working groups. And that gave me opportunity to work with fellows, senior fellows from the academy.
I see.
And you can see that this group of people are very senior, very experienced. They know how to craft national policies. And that gave me a lot of things. Wow, this is how our national policy was crafted, brainstormed, discussed. And because I managed to join those working groups, I see the values of being part of the working groups and contribute your ideas.
I see.
And that inspired me to continue to contribute to be part of this YSN. And you can see this is just policy is just one of them, but besides policy, the YSN is also a group of very dynamic young scientists that want to increase the awareness of or interest of STEMs for the younger generations. Probably you all also noted the statistics have shown our STEM student has declined over the years. When I was a student, I think we have about 40% of SPM holders are science stream students. It has declined over the years until today. I think last year's statistics is actually below 20%, or even I would say less than 15%. It's actually a very worrying scenario or situations that we have in Malaysia. Why? Because Malaysia are aspiring to be high-income countries. When we talk about high-income countries, you look at the technology development that we require. We require a lot of scientists. We require a lot of doctors, medicines, engineers, and so on and so forth. However, if we do not have science students in the SPM where they are no longer eligible to take those courses, it's not that they are no interest. If they choose the wrong course in the school, it will just defeat. They cannot become engineers. Just give you an example. I met number of students that have no physics. Because they were not properly advised when they were in the school. They say, okay, do whatever you want. This is offered. They go and take chemistry, biologists, and then they do maths. Then later on, when they finish the SPM, they say, actually, I have interest to be an engineer. But I look at the results. You do not have any physics.
Know the subject,
you don't have physics. I will not able to recruit any student without physics to be an engineering program. And therefore, I think this is something that we has been going out to really share our ideas, just make sure the newer generation, our future generations, knowing what is important in the country as well as the life and why we need more scientists in the country.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, the reason why you join YSN ASM because you have access to multidisciplinary people and also very smart people who are the best in your field, and you think it's important to make sure the country have strong STEM graduates and people are going to the STEM field. So just now I talked to Dr. Jess and she said she didn't want to take science stream. And she cried when her mother told her to take science streams. So what would you tell a younger Dr. Jess maybe advice and to actually take science stream, and it's good for your future and you can learn to love science like we like our jobs. Okay.
I would say the more importantly is your interest. What is you would like to do in the future? That's number one. Number two is a lot of the sciences actually provide us a question or answer to the question of why. Why air is actually cannot be seen. Why water can be seen. I give you a very interesting example because something that you can see, right? Why when water in the ambient environment is actually a liquid phase, you put in the glass, you can see the full glass. When you put the same glass of water, you put into the fridge, it become a higher volume actually increased. When the ice actually have a higher volume than the water. Okay, that is the reasons for it, right? Scientifically, you can explain because of the hydrogen bonds. And therefore, it also explains why the ice is actually floating on the water. Because of the density. And you see, when you start asking all these interesting questions, why this behavior like this, why is using this and why not, and so on and so forth, that is where you're going to find out sciences actually provide you the answers. And that will make you excitement. Because all of us living in this world, we must know, I am a person who like to know the questions of why. So I ask my questions or myself or my students or my lecturers or my teachers a lot wide questions because to me, knowing the reasons, it will make you choose or make you think this is actually better for yourself or better for the environment or better for the world. So we can make a more informed decisions. Comparing to the other stream where, Yeah, I mean, obviously every discipline have their own strength and weaknesses, but I would say science gives us a lot of interesting moment to find out why. Particularly when you become a scientist, now we are moving into more finding new information, new knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That actually give us also be keeping this question of curiosity to ask why. You continue doing research. You're going to do more and more activities, finding a better solutions for the world. Particularly, for example, like we're talking about net zero now, which is trying to decarbonize the world, right? We talk about, we have a lot of challenges of climate change due to the CO2 emissions, due to CO2 concentrations in the world, right? So how do we decarbonize? So there are a lot of methods that we can reduce the carbon emissions reductions to that. So there are a lot of technology that we can do. There are a lot of natural-based solutions, engineering solutions to do that, right? So when we ask why all this happened and we now trying to find more solutions for the betterment of a human, I think that sciences will give us the opportunity to contribute.
Yeah, basically if you want to take control of your world, because maybe they don't understand yet what the net zero is, but maybe if they want to win in your video game or something, you want to understand how to build a video game also, that needs science and technology.
Yeah, you are fully right. Means, for example, when you want to get videos, if you do not have the capacity of the background, means give you examples, right? Why can we actually have AI? I'm sure everyone know about AI, ChatGPT.
Artificial intelligence,
right?
yeah.
ChatGPT, very simple, ChatGPT. I'm sure 99% of the people have heard about ChatGPT, or maybe more than half of the people have used ChatGPT. You can see this ChatGPT is actually an open platform for AI applications. So what they do is they can process your language, and then searching the data solutions from the whatever digital in the internet or any database, and then provide you an answer. That it required a very high computational power. Means you need a lot of searching. Just like human brain, you need to screen through a lot of data that matching the keywords, and then this keyword and what are the questions, and then what are the solutions, right? So this is how it works. AI actually has been developed more than 20 years ago. AI is actually not new. The algorithm is not new.
Okay.
However, AI has only become more popularized in the coming years. Reasons being, we have advancement in a lot of computational power. Give you an example. First computer in the world is actually probably the size of this room, or even bigger, right? Of one room, one single computer. The computational power, maybe solving one single equation, it take you years to solve an equation.
Yeah.
Today, what you're going to have, your phone is actually a microprocessor that you can process a lot of data. Your computer, your laptop, so small, it can have a high computational power that you may not able to do it 20, 30 years ago, right? When I was a kid, my first computer is actually Pentium 2. I'm sure that the speed is not even competitive with any PC at the moment, right? So this is the advancements of the computing. Who actually developed all this advancement? Scientists. Material scientists. Why? Because you need to have the better transmit of the data through the materials. We have more and more new materials inventions so that the electrons or all this can move faster. That is also enhancing the performance of the computing.
Yeah.
They're also talking about releasing heat, because at one point when you need a lot high processing power, you generate a lot of heat. And that will create, if your heat doesn't participate enough, then it will become a resistant to your movement of your electron or whatever. That actually create a lot of resistance, and that's why it restricts the speed of your processor. And now you can see there are a lot of technology coming in to cooling down, and your phone doesn't become warm even you run for, let's say you're playing a video game for 2-3 hours, running videos, high definition HD mode. Your phone is still not hot. Why? Because they has designed the system behind to cool down.
Yeah.
This all required sciences.
Yeah.
Without sciences, we won't have what we have today. We won't have the phone that we had. We won't have the smart system that we had. We won't have able to live who we are today, including healthcare, right? We need healthcare. If we don't have a healthcare enhancement, then we might be actually not able to survive through a lot of disease that we have today, right? So this is all, I would say, needed, the contribution of science in the betterment of the world or human life.
Yeah, so if you want to create a cooler phone, a better, more engaging video game, science. But maybe because of my mathematical background, I also want to highlight that Alan Turing is the person who created the first computer. He was a pure mathematician.
Yeah.
And basic sciences is also important. And I think sometimes in Malaysia, they have this mentality, end user mentality. Ada phone, nak guna je. But don't want to be the creator or find out or say, why you live easy life lah. Don't think about all this. What is your reaction to that?
I fully agree with that. Malaysia has been labeled as the technology consumer. What do you mean means that our Malaysians citizens are really the person who like to buy technology. There are limited of inventions has been developed in-house of Malaysia.
Correct.
And we imported a lot of technology. Go back into the history of Malaysia. When we started as agriculture-based country, right?
Yeah.
We have produced so much of rubber back then.
Yeah.
Okay. What we do, this is a traditional stories that we learned when we were young, right? So we produce a lot of rubber. We send all the rubber to Singapore, and Singapore make it into glove. 10 times of the price sent back to Malaysia. You buy all the glove from Singapore.
They get the money.
That's where they earn all the profit of the rubber that we produce from the country, and eventually we have to buy rubber from them, the glove from them.
End product.
It actually is true. I mean, we has not evolved. Although we do no longer sell rubber to Singapore, but we have not evolved in the digital world at the moment. Malaysia has still being very limited in terms of new innovations. We are very highly consumer. We want to be playing a consumer where we buy, beli saja. So whatever you want to do, you want to use, you just buy. Instead of actually coming up with your own solutions. And that's why curiosities will actually create us opportunity to find more on development, innovations, and this is something that we are lack of in the country at the moment. I hope that in the future, although you can say this is not one or two cases that we have seen some success from the kids. They have some innovations. At one point, I remember there's one kid actually invented some durian openers. So they just put in the durian, poke it, and then turn, then they actually open up durians. I would say it's entirely zero, but it's not the culture. It's not a mass culture in the country that we will focus very much on innovations. A certain country, you can see they are very innovative. The kids always last to ask questions. And I would say this is also something related to how we were brought up in the school. Okay, like I said, I'm a noisy student, right? Probably I'm not one of the favorite students by the teachers because I ask too many questions until sometimes teachers say, okay, can you just do your work and don't ask so much questions. I think it's the culture that we had in Malaysia's education system. Sometimes it's also a lot of reasons. For example, teacher want to rush through the curriculum. They have too many things they have to do, and they miss the class. They'll have to replace the class or whatever. Therefore, the more asking question that you have, it actually distracted the progressions of the teacher's supposed to be teach 10 questions because ask too much question only can teach 2 questions. So that actually restrict the teacher. Okay, don't ask questions, just move on. I would say this is something that we need to review. Is there anything that we can enhance the education system that we have instead of really spoon feeding the student? Give them more time to think, reduce the content of what they need to supposed to learn. We want to really not teaching them everything, but then teach them how to learn. I think that is the things that we need to focus in the coming years, particularly when we were young, when I was young, put it this way, we have a lot of students need to go to the library.
Yeah.
Why? Because they need to search for knowledge.
Yeah.
However, today, you ask the kids, do you still need to go to the library? Yeah, but we go to the library just for fun, for
internet.
fast internet or mingle around with friends.
Yeah.
But they do not actually require to go to the library to search for knowledge.
No.
They can actually access to Uncle Google. Okay, Uncle Google is actually probably my age time. Uncle Google, you can ask any Uncle Google. Uncle Google can give solutions. Now you can ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You can ask any Copilot that in your software, in your computer to ask for certain questions, and they give you solutions. The next question, I will say, the new era or the new education philosophy is no longer teaching the students knowledge, but we should teach the kids now to differentiate good and right knowledge versus fake knowledge. There are a lot of fake knowledge in the market at the moment. People are just creating fake. It sounds making sense.
Yeah.
However, fundamentally, it's frauds. I give you an example. Years ago, I was writing a messages. Because that time was, I think it's a drought seasons, very hot seasons. People are just circulating some news saying that, your car, your petrol tank in your car will explode because of the increase of the temperatures. Of the, become too hot, and then evaporation a lot, and then there has a lot of gas phase in the petrol tank, then they will explode. So all your car will be explode in the road because of the heat.
Okay.
But when you ask, it sounds right? Because talking about evaporation, talking about the car, heat, whatever. But fundamentally false. Why? Because it's the tank in the petrol car is actually enclosed environment.
Yeah.
So when it comes to enclosed environment, fundamental science will tell you, okay, yes, there is an increase of evaporation in the heat because still increase the temperature. However, because it's enclosed, you're going to reach something called equilibrium. It means reversible positions.
Yeah.
The liquid will become a gas phase because the gas will reach a concentration where it's too high concentration. The gas will continue condense back to become liquid, or the evaporation will not occur any further.
So there's a control mechanism lah.
In
I
the
think the engineers already thought about this.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when you come to explosion, there is also another element that you need to have. Something called ignitions, spark.
Spark.
If you do not have spark in the car or in the fuel tank,
But got spark
it
plug.
will not explode.
But got spark plug.
Correct.
Jauh.
Spark plug is actually in the what you call the engine. You saw some. I think that we have an accident 2 days ago when
Okay.
a Lamborghini accident. Then the car was fired and whatever.
I see.
That is fine because that one, most of the time, this kind of accident, they actually have leakages. So the petrol tank leakages, and that's where exposed to the air. Because in order for you to create fire, we create fire triangles. There are 3 elements. First element is the fire, the spark. The second element is the air, which is you need oxygen, again science. Number 3, you need the fuel source, which is the petrol. So you need to have all 3 together, then your fire will increase. So because during the accident, maybe you flip over, whatever, there's leakages, will have
Fire, air,
potential
fuel,
then
then potential
spark.
kaboom.
Yeah, and that will create explosion or fires.
Okay.
If not, it will not happen. In the tank, just running in a normal car, high temperature in the climate change, it will not. You go to a certain country, let's say nowadays, because of climate change, certain country may have 50-degree room temperature or ambient temperature. You didn't see all the car caught fire. I mean, they have incidences that the tire will melt because of the heat too hot, where the road is become too hot, and then the tire, because they're made by because there's difference between natural rubber versus synthetic rubbers. So the synthetic rubber will actually start to soften and then melt and so on and so forth. There have incidences that we have seen, certain buses tire melt.
Okay.
But that is fine. I think that is something.
But
that
it's
is
just
real.
melt, right?
It just
Didn't
melt. It
lead
doesn't
to
explode and whatever. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you know all this because you are a chemical engineer, and you studied at UTM, University Technology Malaysia, and then later on you went to Nottingham, Malaysia ke?
I was the first student in Nottingham, Malaysia, chemical engineering, first graduate in the PhD.
First graduate.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then you stayed at Nottingham to teach also
Yes.
for a while?
Almost 10 years.
Oh, not a while, a decade. Yeah. And then you moved to Harriet Watt and then Sunway. Now
Yes.
you are a professor.
Yeah.
So since I am also teaching at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, I know it's not easy to become a professor. There are many different criteria that they ask you to fulfill. You have to be excellent in research and you have to do all those other things, management, leadership as well. So maybe because you are a professor at a relatively young age, because we are in YS and SM, and you are the first professor that I am interviewing in this series.
Okay.
So do you have any tips for us young scientists? How can we, some of my friends say it's too hard. They don't want to work towards becoming a professor anymore. So what would you say to them, and how do they find a pathway to becoming a professor that they like and they are comfortable with?
Okay. Right, thank you. Thanks for the introduction of my background. I was promoted as the professor at the age of 32.
Oh, that's very early.
Yes, it is a very relatively young professors. Probably I was the youngest science professors. I know some actually much earlier than me. But for science professors in the country, probably is considered young when I was promoted. Why I actually become the inspiration to be professors, because I have a very clear goal of myself. When I finished my first degree in UTM as a chemical engineer, I was giving an offer of four opportunity in the different companies, including the MNCs like Intel and so on and so forth. And I also giving an opportunity to do my PhDs. So that's the time the decision is. Life is always about decisions, right? So this is the decision branch that I have to make. Should I go to the industry? Should I go to the academic?
Yeah.
And after a long discussions with various of my classmates, my parents, my mom, my girlfriend that time now is my wife, they actually noted that I'm a person who like to share knowledge. I like to talk to people and communication and whatever, and like to teach. And therefore they have highly encouraged me, because one of the words that I still remember until today, they say, if you are my lecturers, I'm sure you will be the best lecturer I have ever had. So, okay, I think I take that compliments and I take that advice, and I decided to do my PhD.
I see.
That is the first step. So when I make a decision to do a PhD, I know I would like to be an academic.
I see.
And reasons why, because when you go to industry, most of your work that you do is going to be industry
secret.
Not secret. I would say their products. Their properties. Whatever you do for any MNCs, they will say, okay, this is X company
proprietary
or whatever.
Yeah, got it.
As an academic, and then I have a freedom to do whatever I want. In the industry, most of the time you will see that your boss will tell you or your clients will tell you what you need to do. What's the objective of the project and whatever. But being an academic, I have freedom. My dean will not tell me, hey, you should do this research. Or your provost will not tell you, do this research. It's really individual interest. So that actually give me a lot of freedom to do what I want. And whatever you achievement is actually yourself.
Yeah.
Because end day, people know you. They know Denny Ng, they know Fatima, they don't know. It doesn't matter where I come from, right? They might remember, oh, you are ex-Nottingham, now Harroward and Sunway. But they still remember who I am is Denny, right? When you first met me, you still remember Denny Ng. You don't actually recall why I come from, where I come from. Yeah, probably a little.
A bit.
But not so much, because it's really academic, give you a freedom to portray who you are, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So what makes me to be inspired to be a professor, I had a lot of discussions. I have a lot of good mentors, put it this way. So my mentor always said, they say, US professors, They say, I have seen students who finish fresh PhDs until they reach professors 6 years. I said, hey, that's possible. Because in Malaysia, you never heard about that, right? You always say, by the time you become professor, it's about time to retire.
Yeah, already.
So I said, okay, that inspired me. Say, is that possible? Yes, you can. So, okay, let's do it. So then I will have to find out what is the pathway to become the professors.
I see.
What are the criteria to be recognized as a professor? So obviously, there are a lot of, when you talk to all these mentors, they will tell you, okay, first of all, you need to be recognized as the leaders in your area.
Yeah.
Being academic, I would say the ultimate goal is you want to be the expert in your area. You want to, it doesn't matter, so you're chemical engineers, mathematics, sciences, whatever, it doesn't matter. And more importantly, whatever you do, you need to call yourself expert, right? Then, first of all, you need to how do you being recognized expert in the area? Obviously, there are a few things that you need to do. Number one, you need to have grants. You need to have ideas. Before even get the grants, you need to have good ideas to present. And you have to be able to articulate your ideas to the funder. This is something worthwhile to investigate. This is something worthwhile will be able to contribute either for the benefit of the people, benefit of the environment, or benefit of the industry. Because I'm a chemical engineer, engineers is more towards working with industry. So I need to make sure whatever I work on has to have an impact to the industry. So that is number one. You have the ideas. Once you have the ideas, you get funding, you need to do research. You need to work on that. Through the research, you need to do publications. A lot of people will start
Ideas, funding, publication.
A lot of people will start talking about why you want to do publications. Because it's my KPI. My boss asked me to do every year. I need to publish 3 papers. It's my KPI. I just do it. However, ask your question or fundamental question. What is publication? If your boss didn't tell you to do publication, should you do it? You need to answer it. For myself, publication is a channel for communication. It's a channel for you to disseminate your knowledge to the general public, to the researchers, to the research community, to the contributor to the development of the knowledge.
Yeah.
That is the objective, not the KPI.
Yeah.
Therefore, throughout my whole entire career, I actually doesn't know what's my KPI. Because I never bothered. To me, more importantly...
He's too good. He doesn't have to know what his KPI is.
Yeah. If I look at a KPI, I do know because the university will talk about it. You have to publish 3 papers a year.
So
I never
you
bothered.
had 3 paper kacang.
I don't really need to worry about the papers.
Yeah.
I just will continue doing because I think this is the right things to do. I'll just do it. I have published more than 20 papers. Not so much because I know some people actually publish more than 100 papers a year. I'm a person who are a bit more hands-on. I really read through every single paper that I wrote. I have co-authored. So at one point, the highest record that I have is 24.
That's very high.
Year.
For me, I don't think.
But there are more people that I am. I'm not very saying 24 is high. No, I don't think that because there are a lot more people. But I actually spend time reading all my papers. I really read through every single papers. I know what my paper wrote, how he improved and whatever. So I really contributed.
Yeah.
Now with more management coming in, I actually decline. I don't have 20 open anymore. I just maintain about few. We keep myself active because I really think this is things that I would like to do.
Yeah.
So publication is a process of disseminate information. And once you see your objective of doing whatever you need to do, now the next level I see is actually engagement with industry. I contributed. Now I actually involve myself a lot in policy like YSN, NSM. So that is really can give you opportunity to create greater impact. Why? Because if you just do research on your own without publication, whatever impact that you have is yourself. Because you are the only one know about the knowledge. You are the only know about the findings, whatever. You need to write papers. You now can impact more people. Who is other people? People who read your papers, who cited your papers. That is what your impact is.
Yeah.
Then the next level, you go to the industry. Your impact is applying your knowledge into the industry. And this company, X company, let's say you work with 10 companies, these are the 10 companies going to benefit from your research. move on to the next level, which when you're now contributing to the policy, the whole nation has to do something for the benefit of the people. Either can be a rules or ACTA or whatever they have to do, they become important. And now you can see your personal values, your personal impact have moved on individual to a societal. And you can see the value of your work being recognized across the board. And this is now, you can see why I put myself in YSN. I'm actually a TRSM, which is the top scientist,
Top research scientist
in
Malaysia. Yeah.
So I think this is something that I still enjoying to do, because you can see, you can now not only focusing on your research, you move on to impact. To answer your last question, which is how do I make my younger generations to be a professor? Let's say, being a professor is a recognition. You are expert in
your field.
In your field. Therefore, it is extremely important for us to work on that. Regardless of what, as I said, don't care what is the discipline, being academic, you should supposedly aim to be recognized as a professor. Some of them are very research-based.
Yeah.
I have professors who are actually on TNL, which is teaching and learning. They focus on how to enhance student learning experience. How do they enhance the teaching method to engage the kids, engage the student, to learn better, and so on and so forth. So this is also another very important task. We don't only celebrating the professors who are very, very scientific professors. We should also celebrating a lot of professors who are contribute their life and time into enhancing the learning process.
Yeah.
And this is also something that worth for us to investigate. And we should, like I say, it doesn't matter, are you a science or, education professors? We should aim to be a professor.
Yeah, okay. So TNL, teaching and learning, that's also very important. And I think we have Anugerah Akademik Negara to acknowledge good teachers and good lecturers and all that. Yeah, okay. So if I understood correctly, first step must publish. Because
not because of KPI.
Not because of KPI, because it's the right thing to do.
Correct.
In order to become an expert in your field. First step. Because there will be people that will review your paper and give you feedback. And if you get it published, then meaning that the reviewer agrees with you. So you are closer, one more step towards being an expert in that field. And that's why to become a professor, you need to have certain amount of publication as proof of your recognition in that field. Yeah, okay. And to be, maybe some of the people cakap, malas lah nak publish banyak-banyak. Don't do it because of the KPI. Do it because you like your field and you know you can contribute your field, and this is your contribution towards the country. First step lah. Later on, you can go to the impact, the policy, you can join YSN and ASM itself, become a TRSM, become a fellow, and then you can contribute to the country. Yeah, that's what you meant. Okay. I find you not only, now even though you didn't go to industry, you are consulting with a lot of industry, I saw. Petronas on the other side. So how do you approach them? Or maybe you have link from university, something like that?
So this is something very interesting, because most of the time that we do research, right, being a researcher, you are always advanced in the area, and therefore you recognize yourself in the experts, right?
Yeah.
For example, one of the projects I started back in 2009, when I first came back from US to start biomass projects. Back then in 2000, before 2010, no one actually talked about biomass, because they always say, oh yeah, this is abundant waste material, just throw it off. But when I went to US, I can see that people are actually growing energy crop to convert into biofuel, because they want to reduce the carbon emission and whatever. Back then, it was about 15 years ago, or 15 or 16 years ago. So when I came back to Malaysia, I'm the first one who started about biomass research. I talk about palm oil biomass. Say, this is all waste material. We just pay people, send it to the plantation, just as a mulching material. We don't even bother too much about that.
Okay.
When I came back, I do a lot of work and then trying to publicize that we can actually convert this material into a lot of different products.
Yeah.
That was history, right? So it was started all the way until today. I'm still doing a lot of palm oil research.
So
Now-
biomass from palm oil
From palm
specifically.
oil, exactly.
And biomass is getting energy from the biological waste.
It can be energy, it can be materials, it can be chemicals from either thermochemical, which is heat. You burn it off, generate heat and power,
Okay.
or you can actually convert through a hydrolysis or fermentation. This is all biological pathway to get chemicals like ethanol, methanol, and whatever.
I see.
So you can actually make good use of all these materials.
I see. That's why your research field, I saw you, right? Circular economy.
Yes.
Because you don't waste
Correct.
any and then you contribute back to the energy, right?
Correct. So you are trying to
Okay.
recover whatever waste materials that you have in the industry back to the processes or back to the convert into different products and then sending it as part of the raw material in the other industries. So this is all the things that we can do. So how do we actually get engaged with industry? Because when I started this work back 10, 15 years ago, no one about that, no industry actually willing to investigate
Malaysia.
or
Yeah.
even Malaysia or Indonesia. I would say only in the last 5 years or 6 years ago, then the company come to talk about it. Now they want to do more research on Petronas. Now they want to say, okay, I want to know about biomass. What can we do?
alright.
So as a researcher, you always advance in the industry. You advance something that I would say 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
You need to do something 10 years ahead, not for today, but for future. That is what we call true research. With that kind of mindset in mind, then you won't always say, oh yeah, I'm disappointed, people don't trust me.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you are ahead of time. If you are just purely on the dot, on today time, then you won't get the benefit of leading the area. You won't able to enhance advancement of the industry, advancement of the knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you are just today.
Yeah.
Again, it will become a technology knowledge consumer than knowledge developers.
I actually agree because you said why you went into academic is because you get the academic freedom, right? So for example, I'm a mathematician. So during COVID, I did COVID modeling. And then when ChatGPT come, I investigate how to use ChatGPT for mathematics and all that. So we have the freedom and that's where the innovation and creativity comes in. But some criticism to the industry side is they do not invest so much into research in Malaysia. So how do you think is the best way to, encourage this or make them interested to invest in us and our students maybe?
Okay. I think to business world is very simple. As long as there's a potential return of investment or something we call it, also we define now return of values. So how do we calculate the values? So they want to see the benefit. I fund you, okay? You want me 100,000, 200,000 or $500,000, I can fund the project. But what is the value after I got the project? Is there anything that I will be able to gain back after I've conducted this research? A lot of the researchers are always thinking about, I want a PhD student. So first thing first, they go to industry and say, okay, I want to do this project. Then the industry actually gets a bit of interest. The first thing that they will ask, okay, I need 3 years. Okay, so you are very academic. So then the industry says, this is academic study. I will invest something, I want immediate returns or I want a short-term returns. You don't tell me 3 years down the road, you only give me returns because I will not know what happened after 3 years. Is my business still the same after 3 years? Because in business world or industry are very volatile. However, you need to build the confidence with the industry, then your project can continuously grow. First of all, you need to define, let's say, can I do it in 2 months? Can I do it in 6 months? Then eventually you can package it in final thing. We will reach maybe 3 years, 5 years down the road. We will eventually got the output.
Okay, let me push back a bit on that. You're doing engineering. So engineering is relatively end product lah. I would say if mathematics is like the core and our research is always core. But now the universities are always pushing us to go to industry. I said, well, yeah, but I don't think we can give them anything in 6 months other than a model or anything like that. And because we don't do product or anything like that, that is maybe something why basic researcher in Malaysia is very discouraged, and some of them even stop and go elsewhere because feel not appreciated. What would you say to these people?
Okay, you see, basic research is always, I would say, the light bulbs for the future.
Should be.
Without the basic research, all applied research doesn't work. So although you can see I do a lot of applied, because that is most funding want to see.
Industry.
They want to see the output, the potential output. Therefore, basic research is still needed, because in order for me to do applied, basic is still needed, right? Again, this is something that I want to advise everyone. Research shouldn't be individual. You cannot do a good research with one person. You need to work as a team. Therefore, a lot of success story that you hear, most of the time, they're actually working as a team.
Yeah.
And I probably need mathematicians in part of my team, because now you can do a lot of financial modeling, where I, as an engineer, I won't be able to do it. I may have a product, I may have a technology, but when it comes to some fundamentals back end, I still need to work with scientists. But pure scientists, pure mathematicians, pure chemists, pure biologists. Therefore, we should form a team. And this is what I can share with the fundamental researchers. Do not go on your own, because to go on your own, you write very fundamental. The funding mechanism doesn't support that at the moment in the market, because Malaysia are going towards commercialization. We want to do more output and things like that. The easiest way out is actually work with others. The more you work with others, the more you learn from different industry. Give you examples. When I was a founding director in sustainable palm oil research in Nottingham back then, because I'm the founding director of palm oil research, I'm actually working on the waste side only. But in order for me to look at the whole value chain, I need to work with soil scientists. I need to work with plant scientists. I need to work with environmentalists. How to protect the tree. Without the tree, I got no waste. They say, hello, boss. If you're one, Denny, you got no plants, you got no oil, you got no fruits, where are you going to do with all your wastewater project? True. Correct? So I need to work upstream. I need to work with the soil and make sure the soil is healthy. So I learned from the scientists, from the soil scientists, how to differentiate good soil, bad soil, healthy plant, non-healthy plant. So I learned that now I can understand the whole value chain. I can talk about the bacteria in the soil bacteria. What happened to the soil bacteria? What causes the ecosystem have changed? Our chemical fertilizer application. So this is allowing the fundamental coming in. As a mathematicians, we also need to do a lot of modeling. For example, like AI. Actually, a lot of AI, you see AI, what's the AI? Actually, it's maths. They are doing predictions. They are doing regressions. They do a lot of basic regressions at the back end. This is AI. It's just that it becomes fancier when it becomes apply AI is actually, if you look at the back end code, it's maths. You ask me maths got application? AI is a very, very applicable maths application. It's just that people won't see it because the brand is there. So as a mathematician, I would say if you can team up with a group of people to package it, then you can see the values of all the fundamentals that you do.
So we should definitely work on multidisciplinary research, which is actually not easy because every side has to sit down and properly think about it. But this is what we're doing at YSN-SM. We're trying very hard. In the research synergy, you were chair at one point. That's why we want to synergize everybody's research, and I think that's why you stayed very long with YSN-SM. And maybe till the very end, we will stay in YSN-SM and try to get something going that is good for our nation. I
would say this is something that we really need to look into when you come to collaborations, right? It's really genuine. Whether you are openly, just because a lot of a collaboration I have seen, right? Oh, there's a funding call. Let's sit together, let's discuss, want to do this, want to do that, want to do this. But if we success the grant, that project might go on. Sometimes then they will say, okay, now we got 1 million, you take $500,000, I take $500,000. We move on to our work,
do
whatever.
separate.
And then we come to see how the integration.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not the true
Correct.
transdisciplinary or multidisciplinary research. If you really want to get involved in the multidisciplinary research, you need to first learn from each other.
Yeah.
If I were want to work with the mathematicians, I need to learn what is mathematics. Vice versa. The mathematician has to work with the engineering. What is engineer needs?
Yeah.
How you see your issues that you are facing, right? What is the challenge? What are things? So you need to learn from both sides, not one-sided. If one person want to learn while the other person not interested to teach or not interested to learn from the other field, the project will not be successful.
I see.
It's only when you come together, then it becomes successful. I have a very good success story when I was in Nottingham. Not myself, but I learned a success story. There's a medical professors and a physicist. Both professors come together. They really genuinely want to do something together. What they came up with, they actually invented a products that can put to understand the brain activity of a baby when they're during the pregnancy.
During pregnancy. Okay.
So what they do is, because of the medical doctor required this kind of thing, because particularly for the pregnancy lady, and then the physicist can use some kind of a signal processing and whatever. Then they came together. They really genuinely produced that. But the story never ends because they have the product. They eventually get the IP and whatever. The Nottingham actually found them because they want to really commercialize something. They form a company, and they actually have to retain almost 10 years of the IP. Only then a medical company found them, found that product.
That was the requirement
And
to be commercialized.
no, because they just started and then putting all their advertising their products.
I see.
But 10 years after,
Okay.
only one company bought the IP from the university. Therefore, this is also for the researcher, for the universities, right? IP is not a short gain. You found my IP, you expect it to commercialize tomorrow or now. The truth is, most likely, you found 100 IPs, you may have one IP successfully being commercialized. Secondly, even you need to find the right partners to partner to commercialize the products. Some people are just buying your IP and kill the IP. There are competitors just buying all the IPs so that there's no competition in the market. I'm the only one having all this technology. So there are a lot of people, in the commercial world, you have to learn how do we genuinely want to commercialize the product and what is the objective. Again, why we are doing all this. Ask yourself, is it because of income generations? Is it because I need to do it because it's part of my KPI? Or because you're doing it for the benefit of the society? Once you get the right perception, right ideas, I believe that we will able to get a better world.
It's all the good intention and why you're doing it. Go back to why. Start with why. Okay. One last thing.
Sure.
If you say Prof. Denny, what do you want people to remember about you?
Okay. Something that I always want people to remember about me is, number one, in terms of technicality, people always say, okay, I'm in palm oil, so I do resource conservation and whatever. But beyond technicality, I would say I would like people remember me as, when you say Denny, is someone that, being supportive. Being lead by examples, someone that always be there for you. We always have a fun in the YSN group, right? So we have something called spare tire. So we have a spare tire working group. It's not our official working groups in the YSN group. What happened, this spare tire working group is, whenever anyone need help in anything in YSN, this tire will start executing. Why actually we call ourselves spare tire? Because we always said spare tire is one of the most important element in the car. Why? When one of the tire punctured, they will come out. But most of the time, they will be seen behind the scene. They do not be seen that they're actually important. But when you need them, they will become the most important people that's going to save your life. And therefore, we call ourselves spare tire. And spare tire team is always be there for you, and we can do anything.
I see.
Very agile. You can be at one point they run conference, they want judges. No judges, we be the judges. No one cleaning the room, we clean the room. No one being the chair for the opening or whatever session chair, we be the organization chair. So we are just agile. And more importantly, I would say this is the ability to work together with the YSN. And that kind of spirit lasts until today.
Yeah.
And all I would say when I talk about this spare tire group, they are start to laughing. They know who they are.
Yeah.
We have a group of spare tire that always be together and they support each other.
Yeah. That is Prof. Denny. He is always looking to help and looking to support us. So thank you very much for this YSN Inspiration Series from me, Fatima Abdul Razak and Prof. Denny. I will see you next time.
See you. Bye.